television, welcome to this meeting of the Clovis City Commission. We will begin by offering a prayer, and then we will do the Pledge of Allegiance to the American flag and then salute the state flag. If you would join me in prayer, please. Heavenly Father, thank you for this day. Thank you for our wonderful community. We ask your blessings and protection over our city and over the people of our city. We ask that you would bless families and especially our youth in our community, and Lord, that you would bring about your will and unfold your plans as people in Clovis are blessed and prosperous and reach their full potential. We thank you for the business before us this evening, for the presentations, for the celebrations of the great things going on in our city, and we thank you for the privilege of serving and living and working here. And I ask all of these things in the name of Jesus. Amen. Please join me in honoring our country's flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag.
Allegiance to the flag. All right.
And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I salute the flag of the state of New Mexico, the Zeta symbol of perfect friendship among united cultures. Our meeting is called to order. Ms. Reyes, could we have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Jones, Commissioner Bryant, Commissioner Casals, Commissioner Porter,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Bryant,
Here.
Commissioner Garza,
Here.
Commissioner Rowley,
Here.
Commissioner Paula, and Mayor Morris.
Here. Thank you, Ms. Reyes. Next is approval of the agenda. Unless there are objections to how the agenda has been published, I will assume your approval. Seeing none, we will adopt the agenda, and please record a yes vote for each of the members. Next is approval of minutes. We have the minutes in your packet, which you've had the chance to review from the Thursday, April 6th City Commission meeting. Unless there are objections to the way those minutes have been typed up and presented, and hearing and seeing none, we will adopt the April 6th, 2023 minutes. Thank you. Next is recognition of visitors. It is wonderful to see so many people join us for our meeting this evening. We're looking forward to the various presentations of proclamation that we have coming up in just a few moments, and we're excited to be celebrating with you and your organizations and in each of those instances. But before we do that, I want to take and give a few minutes to recognize some especially special guests that are here with us. And our zoo director, Mr. Damian Lechner, is here to introduce a couple of the residents of the zoo. Mr. Lechner.
Mayor Pro Tem, and Commissioners, thank you for letting me speak. I brought Taylor Freed and her mother, Melissa Freed. They are the caretakers for the kangaroos at night, so they're giving me lots of sleep. So, I used to do that when they first came, but I just wanted to mention 2 days ago we had launched a naming contest for our kangaroos, and they've been here for quite some time. They're getting ready to actually move out to their permanent habitat. Their barn is getting constructed tomorrow, so we're super excited that guests coming to the zoo, probably the end of next week, will be able to see them all the time. And we will update our Facebook for that. But we have the female that's 10 months old, the male's 9 months old. And I just wanted to give our viewers and all of you just a little bit of background about them. She's very sassy and bossy, so if that helps with any names, if you want to participate in the naming contest. And he's very relaxed and very protective of the female, so hopefully that will help. So far the highest bid, I thought it was 700, but as we walked in, I heard it's 800 now. So it's the highest bid, gets the naming rights. They get to name these two kangaroos. They desperately need names because we call it the male and female, and we would love to have names that appropriately fit them. Contest is open to everybody, to businesses and individuals, and we're going to run this until the 28th at 4 p.m. And then on Monday we're going to announce the winner for that. And all proceeds from this fundraiser are going to go back to the zoo, and it's going to benefit all the animals there. So, and if anyone has any questions, you can call Vicki at the administration, and they will get you on the right track. It's on our website and also on our Facebook page.
That's great. Now, Mr. Lechner, this is the second time that you've done a naming contest. Is that right? Was it the camel that was named this way as well?
Yes, Mayor. It's pretty much the same that we did for the camel. When the anteaters came, we opened that up to the public. It was a free naming contest. It was by popularity vote. So as we get more and more animals into the zoo, we are looking at other opportunities for naming. But because the kangaroos are such a big deal coming here to Clovis, we really wanted the community to be involved in helping us name them in kind of a fun way.
Now, tell us a little bit, if you would, how large will these kangaroos become someday?
So the female, she'll get about 3 feet tall and maybe 95, 100 pounds. Could be a little bit more. She loves her bottle, so she's she's growing very quickly. The male will be about as tall as I am when he stands up, and almost 200 pounds. So we're a little more hands-off on him. That's why he's still in the pouch. We really want her to have a good relationship with us so we can do pouch checks and things like that. We want him to protect her and not really be a risk to any of the keepers working with him. They can be pretty dangerous, the males can.
Yeah. So thank you for that. And just prior to the meeting being called to order, there were a group of kids here. I don't know if all of you noticed that, but a certain first grade teacher over at Mesa Elementary, Mrs. Morris, spilled the beans that these guys would be here this evening, and word spread. And so there were a small group of kiddos that joined us this evening, and not to hear what you wanted or what you'll be talking about later, but to see these kangaroos. So in case there was any confusion about that, but thank you to all of you for taking the time to let the kids see them and pet them. And I know that they have some great suggestions for names, and so I might have to steal some of their ideas and make a bid, but thank you for being here.
All right, thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Commissioners.
Great. Let's move into presentation of awards or proclamations, awards, and presentations. And we do have 4 proclamations this evening, and very excited about sharing each of them with you. And some of them are dealing with the month of April, and a couple of them we're looking ahead to the month of May. And these are in no particular order, but we'll take the proclamation proclaiming Thursday, May 4th as National Day of Prayer. This is one that I look forward to each year and enjoy participating in. And to share with us about that this evening, we have Mr. Landers and Mr. B.J. Brooks here. If you would like, yeah. Pastor B.J. Brooks.
Yes, sir. Mayor Pro Tem, and Commissioners, thank you for allowing us to be here this evening and present about the National Day of Prayer. The National Day of Prayer was instantiated by Harry Truman in 1952. The Senate passed a bill that it would be the National Day of Prayer, that there would be an annual day every year in which the nation would be encouraged to pray. And in 1988, it was established that that day would be the first Thursday in May. And we're thankful that we've been able to observe the National Day of Prayer annually here, and it will be observed, as Mayor Moore shared, on Thursday, May 4th from noon to 1 at 7th and Main, the city block there, right in front of the Curry County Courthouse, and we would welcome any and everyone to be there for that. Also, we hope that everybody received a program, and we have a list of the prayers that will be offered there. So this is our way of having ministers and members of churches, but also people of any and every faith or no faith to join us as well as we pray for our community, state, and nation and world. And we believe that the Lord will bless us, and the Lord will strengthen us and give us wisdom and guidance. And so this is a wonderful event. We thank you guys for allowing us to host that here, and we would invite everyone to participate in that as well. This is my buddy Phil Landers. He's part of the National Day of Prayer Planning Committee as well, along with his sister, Dr. Sistar Yancey, and Pastor Bonetta Hudson. And we've been planning this, and we very much look forward to hosting it and having it in front of the Curry County Courthouse Thursday, May 4th from noon until 1.
Appreciate that. Mr. Landers, if you'd like.
Just to add a little bit to it, the objective is that we will mobilize and we will unify. the churches in our community together and to worship and to be able to bring a unity of Christ in the midst of our city, that we can be able to formulate a Christ, the love of God in all things that we do. So we're hoping that we can get all the support as we can, not only from the city, from the churches, from our local communities, and from our businesses as well, on that day, as well as it's needed here and in America.
Appreciate that. That's a message I can be on board with. Thank you for that, Mr. Landers. I'll share the proclamation, and I'll also be there, looking forward to being there that day to share the proclamation as part of your program. And thank you to the Planning Committee for making this a great event in our city each year. I'll share the proclamation now. Proclamation. Whereas throughout our nation's history, Americans have come together in moments of great challenge and uncertainty to humble themselves in prayer. In 1775, as the Continental Congress began the task of forging a new nation, colonists were asked to observe a quiet day of humiliation and prayer. Almost a century later, as the flames of the Civil War burned from north to south, President Lincoln and the Congress once again asked American people to pray as the fate of their nation hung in the balance. And whereas it is in that spirit of unity and reflection that we once again designate the first Thursday in May as the National Day of Prayer, let us remember those who came before us, and let us each give thanks for the courage and compassion shown by so many in this country and around the world. And whereas on this day of unity and prayer, let us also honor the service and sacrifice of the men and women of the United States Armed Forces. We celebrate their commitment to uphold the highest ideals, and we recognize that it is because of them that we continue to live in a nation where people of all faiths can worship. And whereas, let us also use this day to come together in a moment of peace and goodwill, where our beliefs can bring us together in love to feed the hungry, comfort the afflicted, to make peace where there is strife, and to lift up those who have fallen on hard times. As we observe this day of prayer, we remember the one law that binds all great people together, and that is to love one another, but also to understand one another and to treat one another with dignity and respect as we share a brief moment on this earth. And whereas the Congress, by Public Law 100-307 as amended, has called on the President to issue each year a proclamation designating the first Thursday in May as National Day of Prayer. Now therefore I, Mike Morris, Mayor of Clovis, and on behalf of the City Commission, do hereby proclaim May 4th, 2023 as National Day of Prayer in the City of Clovis. And I call upon citizens to pray in thanksgiving for our freedoms and the blessings, and ask for God's continued guidance, grace, and protection for our city, state, and this country that we all love. Thank you. Next, let's have the proclamation dealing with Founders Day. We have next a proclamation proclaiming May 1st as the 116th anniversary of the founding of the City of Clovis. And here this evening to discuss this proclamation and to receive it is Miss Jenny Hansen as well as Miss Kristen Cannon. Ladies.
Hi. Thank you, Mayor and Commissioners, for having us today. We're now going to discuss the second annual Founders Day. I don't know how it's been a year, like you were saying earlier, but here we are. In honor of Clovis' 116th birthday on May 1st, 2023, the Clovis Action Team invites everyone to join us in celebrating the second annual Founders Day. As many of you know, the Clovis community recently adopted a new brand. This year, the Clovis Action Team has organized 2 activities in conjunction with Founders Day to increase awareness and excitement surrounding the heartfelt connections and endless horizons.
The Clovis Founders Day Coloring Contest is going on now through tomorrow, April 21st. We'll be picking up all of the sheets on Monday. We're very excited. Earlier this month, they were distributed to all the local elementary schools and to numerous businesses around the town. If you haven't gotten one, you can also download tonight and tomorrow the coloring sheet at visit clovisnm.org/Founders Day. And the winners will be awarded for numerous age categories, and the winning designs will be publicly displayed and featured on limited edition postcards. If you haven't seen last year's, they're beautiful. On Monday, May 1st, that's Founders Day, at 11 a.m., we will be unveiling a beautiful new mural on the northeast corner of the building housing Wells Fargo and the Chamber of Commerce, located at 105 East Grand Avenue. Citizens and all of you, please, you're encouraged to attend this unveiling to take pictures in front of the mural and show community pride by wearing Clovis merchandise, which we have available. And we will also have available at the air show on Saturday if you're there. We'd love to see you. You want to finish up?
Oh, yeah. We hope to see the community come out in force to support both of these Founders Day events. And we're excited to continue growing with the celebration year after year. You can learn more about all of these events and participating businesses at allinclovis.com.
Well, thank you, Ms. Cannon and Ms. Hanson. And you mentioned the Clovis Action Team. Would you briefly tell us what Clovis Action Team is for those that may not know?
Yeah, the Clovis Action Team, it's been a few years now, kind of came together, did surveys, worked together, and started the rebranding of the city. We've had some really great adaptations from the city who's kind of taken over the colors and a variation of their logo. And it's just to show pride and heartfelt connections and endless horizons. When you reach into the community, you just kind of get a warm hug.
Yep. Well, appreciate your work with the Clovis Action Team, and your work is evident in the new brand, right? And so, just as you mentioned the shirt that you have, but also the city has adopted it for letterhead and business cards and those kinds of things. And so, well done on that. Well done on promoting our city. And I'd love to share the proclamation. I suppose before I do, Mayor Pro Tem, Commissioners, any comments?
It's on your water bottle.
Oh yes, the fancy water bottles.
Yeah. There you go.
And it'll be on the new
look at
mural.
you.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. Proclamation. Whereas in 1906, when Santa Fe Railway engineers were ordered to locate a town site in the newly developing ranch and farmland of eastern New Mexico, they chose the site formerly known as Riley's Switch. And whereas the Santa Fe Railroad began its first transcontinental traffic through the open prairie land on May 1st, and on May 1st, 1907, the town site, now known as Clovis, New Mexico, was established. And whereas since its founding, Clovis has become a diversified economy that has spurred the growth of modern colleges, healthcare facilities, businesses, both personal and corporate owned, and world-renowned Cannon Air Force Base. And whereas the 116th anniversary of Clovis's founding is not just an opportunity to celebrate the city's longevity, but a time to tell the story of its people and of the spirit that sets Clovis apart. And whereas citizens are invited to come together to reflect, recall, and celebrate their vision for our shared future. And whereas recognition of our 116th birthday comes with a promise of heartfelt connections and endless horizons, a vow to welcome all into the Clovis family, while creating connections that inspire growth with unlimited opportunities. Now therefore I, Mike Morris, Mayor of Clovis, and on behalf of the Commission, do hereby proclaim May 1st, 2023 as the 116th anniversary of the founding of the city of Clovis. Next, we're very pleased to offer a proclamation having to do with community college. And we, of course, have a beloved and well-supported community college that's just a tremendous asset in our community. And to help me with that presentation this evening, Commissioner Paula. Yeah, yes.
I
absolutely.
do have a few things to say.
Yes.
Good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, Commissioners. I can't tell you how exciting this is for us because I think that the college does a great job of giving back to the community, but I don't think it's ever recognized how much the community does for the college as well. Just looking at Community College Month, we've done some great things. What we're trying to do is reestablish the kind of a home feel to the college, and so that students and faculty and staff are all ready to be out there and excited to learn and do the things that make it more of a family atmosphere. And so that's what we're working on. So over the course of Community College Month, we've had an Easter scavenger hunt for the students, which was lovely because we sent them all over and they didn't know where they were going or what they were doing. We had the Curry County Chamber membership breakfast, 7 a.m. It was an early one, but we had a great turnout, and so that was lovely. The aesthetics department at the college put together a military spouses appreciation spa night. And so they were able to get facials and their nails done and all that sort of thing, things that they usually can't do because they can't be out at the college during the daytime hours. And so that was really, really popular. We had an Earth Day coloring contest, which coloring seems to be I'm not a colorer, but I guess I need to be because evidently it does great things for people. So we participated in the 4.0 banquet earlier this week. And in that banquet, or the 4.0 students, we give them 3 credit hours towards the summer or the fall semesters and hope that they'll come out and at least get one class under them if they're not already in dual credit, early college, high school, that sort of thing. So we still have things coming up. We have a student recognition ceremony on April 25th. That's for students that either GPA, they're qualified to be there, or because they've been nominated by a faculty member or a staff member to be recognized for their great efforts in their schooling. So the Campus Cabinet Food Pantry opens on April 27th. This came about because we knew that a lot of our students had food insecurity. And so this is our way of giving back again to the community. It's fully stocked, it's ready to go. And I would love to have any of you come out to it that want to. So we have graduation on May the 12th at the Event Center. Our mayor is going to be our guest speaker and kicking and screaming, but yes, he's going to do it for me. So we're really excited. You all will receive your invitations if you haven't already received them, and we're excited for that event. We also have the RadTech and Nurses Pinnings on May 11th. Nursing is at 1, RadTech is at 6, and those are at the Civic Center. So it's lovely to get that many graduates, especially in healthcare, into one room with all of their families, and it's a very touching ceremony. So if you haven't been there, we would love to have you come. So, and that wraps up my remarks.
Well, Dr. Jones, thank you so much for being here, and
Of course.
well done in your work as president, interim president of the college, and thanks for
Thank you.
sharing about the ways that the college is giving back.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of times we think we know what Clovis Community College is,
Exactly.
but it's so important to hear an update periodically. I happened to be at the chamber breakfast that you mentioned, and your team out there is amazing, and I thought that the program that you put together for that breakfast and having that each of the staff members give updates on their areas was just wonderful, and I learned something every time you provide an update. So thank you for that, and
course.
thanks for all that Clovis Community College does. Namely, these folks heard me brag about you and about the team at Clovis Community College as we talked about Clovis Hires, all those months that we were planning that event. And I'll just, thank you here for the partnership on that. Not just hosting it the day that we had it, but
Right.
your team was contributed and involved in the planning of that event, and I was so excited to see all of those attendees get to come onto your campus
Sure.
and talk to your recruiters as well as meet the industry employers that were there. But thanks again for the partnership there on investing in our young adults and building that workforce. So
Well, I hope we get to do it next year again. So that's the plan.
Well,
So.
if I get my way, we're going to
Okay.
do it again.
All
so,
right.
So
Committed. It's
thanks,
done.
Yeah, thanks for that partnership.
Uh-huh.
And Commissioner Paula, would you like to share the proclamation? Yeah, thanks.
On?
It's not
Is
real
it on
loud.
now? Okay. Well, I was, but anyway. Dr. Jones, I also thought it was interesting how you said that you're trying to start, or maybe start back up, an atmosphere of family at the college. And that's what the college has always kind of been to me. When I first moved here 26 years ago, I didn't know what to do with myself. And so the first thing I did is went and enrolled in an exercise class at the college. And that's where I met everyone, and it just started a snowball of me becoming involved in the community. So thank you. I think CCC is a shining star in this community.
Thank you.
I'll read the proclamation. I may have to sit down because I don't think I can hold this button and stand. Whereas in 1947, the Truman Commission called for the establishment of a network of public community colleges that would serve their local areas with comprehensive curriculum at little or no cost. And whereas the American Association of Community Colleges and the Association of Community College Trustees recognize April of every year as Community College Month and advocate for its celebration across the nation. And whereas in 1978, citizens of Columbus supported a $2.4 million bond issue to construct a new campus on 25 acres of land donated in 1970 by the late Irvin Sheps. In 1980, Clovis Community College offered its first classes at their new campus. And whereas Clovis Community College is locally controlled, locally governed, independent community college. The campus now occupies approximately 100 acres of land with a $30 million facility. And whereas Clovis Community College offers a wide range of degrees and occupational programs and serves over 4,000 students in New Mexico and around the country. And whereas Clovis Community College has been designated a Hispanic serving institution by the U.S. Department of Education. CCC has also been named a military-friendly school, a designation that honors the top 15% of colleges, universities, and trade schools in the country that are doing the most to embrace America's military service members, veterans, spouses, and dependents as students and ensure their success on campus. And whereas Clovis Community College is committed to providing accessible, equitable, and inclusive educational opportunities for all students in our global community. In partnership with Achieving the Dream, CCC is dedicated to identifying and providing both academic and career-specific programs designed to equip students with skills necessary for the digital workforce and to obtain high-demand jobs to strengthen our community's future needs.
Now, therefore, I, Mike Morris, and Mayor of Clovis, and on behalf of this commission, do hereby proclaim the month of April 2023 as Community College Month in the city of Clovis.
Thank you very much.
Lastly, in presentations this evening, we're going to talk about another beloved asset in our community, and that is our library. And we have a proclamation, which Commissioner Jones will be helping me out with, which will pertain to National Library Week. And we're, of course, happy to highlight and and make much of our library. And we have Ms. Margaret Hinchy, the library director, here making her way to the podium. And so I'd love to give you the floor so that you can share anything you like.
Thank you. And Commissioner Paula, can I borrow your heels if we have to take a picture? Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem and Commissioners. Of course, you know my passion is the library. 701 is my world. 701 North Main is the world. National Library Week was established in 1967 by the National and American Library Association in honor of libraries. And back then, as everyone knows, it was just a depository of books. Now our library contains videos and audios, audiobooks, DVDs, crafting, makerspace kits, digital format items from ebooks to audiobooks. We have programs from crafting to educational. We have 2 story times every week. We have 2 adult book clubs. We have Curry County coming at least once a month to give us an educational tidbit of something going on in the community. This week it was mental health, crafting for mental health. I'm sorry I missed that. Library work is my passion. It always has been. It's been wonderful to see our library morph into what it has become. I believe that libraries are a community-driven center of knowledge. I think that we gather our community well, we promote our services, and I will continue to do that as long as I remain library director. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Ms. Hinchy, and I have so enjoyed the library, even just recently coming in to spend some time in a quiet space. And but each time I do, I notice you have what do you call the big wall right inside the entrance? That's you change it all the time. There's always something going on.
Well,
and your staff is always excited about it.
Right. So when I started, that whole area was a planter box, and we moved in that building in '92. It was meant for live plants.
Okay.
I don't know why it was, we get no natural light. So I took it out probably 7 years ago and put in and thought, what am I going to do with this? So I just made up this whole word wall of library terms. But we have other things on there, like we have the March Madness display on there. And
Right.
we do other things. Yeah.
It's wonderful. Well, you always have just such a wonderful atmosphere in the library, and I know that the community just loves it. It's clear anytime I get the chance to visit. Commissioner Jones, I'll turn the floor over to you.
Thank you, Mayor. Proclamation. Whereas libraries provide the opportunity for everyone to pursue their passions and engage in lifelong learning, allowing them to live their best life. And whereas libraries have long served as trusted institutions for all members of the community, regardless of race, ethnicity, creed, ability, sexual orientation, gender identity, or social economic status. And whereas libraries strive to develop and maintain programs and collections that are as diverse as the populations they serve and ensure equality of access for all. And whereas libraries adapt to the ever-changing needs of their communities, continually expanding their collections, services, and partnerships. And whereas libraries play a critical role in the economic vitality of communities by providing internet and technology access, literacy skills, and support for jobs seekers, small businesses, and entrepreneurs. And whereas libraries are accessible and inclusive places that promote a sense of local connection, advancing in understanding, civic engagement, and shared community goals. And whereas libraries are cornerstones of democracy, promoting the free exchange of information and ideas for all. And whereas libraries, librarians, and library workers are joining library supporters and advocates across the nation to celebrate National Library Week.
Now therefore, I, Mike Morris, Mayor of Clovis, and on behalf of the City Commission, do hereby proclaim April 23rd through 29th as National Library Week in the City of Clovis, and I encourage residents of our city to visit their library and to explore the wealth of resources available there.
Thank you.
Mayor, can I just say something real quick?
You sure can.
I'd like to go back just for a minute to the founding of Clovis. And in that, in the proclamation, time to tell the story of its people and the spirit that sets us apart. And I think that's an important statement. I think it fits all these proclamations that we were talking about. You know, I've lived here all my life, and I can't think of a more inviting and friendly community than Clovis. And it just makes you proud to be a citizen of the city. So, just wanted to say that. Thank you.
Well said, Mayor Pro Tem. Thank you for that. All right, that does it for presentations this evening. So we'll move into receipts of petitions and communications. And I bumped into Building Director, Mr. Darren Roach, prior to the meeting, and he mentioned he had something to share during this portion of the meeting. Mr. Roach?
Move it back up here to adult size. Thank you, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, Commissioners. Wanted to kind of give everybody kind of an update. So in September 20, when I took over building safety, I was actually threatened by Claire to make some changes. And so later part of 20, I stood here in front of most of you and told you that there's lots of changes coming to building safety. We've got another change coming. That first year I took over, there was just over 1,000 cases for code compliance working cases within the city. This last year, we were just shy of 5,000 cases. So yes, there's been quite an improvement. But I do want to kind of give everybody a heads up on this, is we have implemented a new process. So code compliance now, if there is a violation that is noticed, the code officer for that zone will post a notice on the door, on the property. They will send a letter to the property owner. If nothing is done in 5 days, then it's going, a citation will be written, it'll be taken to municipal court. It will then be dealt with through municipal court. Now, here's the thing, if it's not, city code states that you can be cited every day up to $500 every day that the violation's not corrected. So there's a huge possibility that if it's not corrected, it's an ongoing situation. If it's a repeat offender, they could be receiving a citation for $500, up to $500 every day that's not completed. We're not getting away from where our ERT guys go in and clean it up, but this is a new process that's hopefully going to help alleviate some of the workload that ERT has been on. Since we've increased cases, they've also increased properties that they've got to clean up. So hopefully this will help, and it'll also get a lot of the citizens that have properties that need cleaned or abated to get them to do it themselves.
Well, thank you for that update, and as well as all the work you're doing, including those changes. And for anyone that doesn't know Mr. Darren Roach, he's a joker. So we want to make sure we understand that the assistant city manager did not threaten him to do anything.
Right.
Right.
No,
Okay.
It wasn't city
All right,
manager.
just make it-
It was just Claire. we were off work, no.
Yeah. Well, I've said it time and time again, but cleaning up the city that's a tough deal, right? Because we oftentimes we start to talk about and think about property rights, and it's my property, I can do what I want to with it. Sometimes is a response, or you're doing so much work that I hear. I get calls and I visit with residents that are concerned. And I had a gentleman recently tell me how and this is a friend, and how upset he was, and he said he almost called me to talk to me about it, his weeds in his alley. And he had gotten a notice about it and didn't appreciate that. But he said he was dialing my number, and then he thought to himself, you know what, they're right. I need to take care of the weeds in my alley. And so he said, I saved you that phone call, Mike. And I said, well, thanks. I appreciate it. But point is, I talked to contractors, I talked to residents that are feeling that, because it is something that the community is feeling, but overall the community appreciates the effort going in, because it's better for all of our property values, and it's respectful of all of our property rights when everyone takes care of their property, right?
Right.
And so this commission has approved the ordinances and the tools that you need to help keep the city clean. So thanks for what you're doing to do that. And we know that we have work to do yet, but we can see the progress. So thank you for what you're doing.
You bet.
Mr. Roach, real quick, before you leave, I want to clarify to people that this is not a new ordinance.
No, this has been around. It's just,
You're going to enforce it.
it's a different avenue that we can use, and we're going to try this. Other municipalities only have a court process. They don't have the administrative way that we have. They only have the court process. We have the option for both.
So can you repeat again, in case anyone missed it, exactly how this will work? I think you kind of went through that really quickly, so I just want
Okay.
people to be aware.
You bet. So let's say Mayor Morris has weeds in his alley. And it's found, a notice will be posted on the property. A letter will be mailed out that same day. Within 5 days, my code officers will go back and check. If nothing's been done, then a citation will be written, and then it'll be sent to a municipal court. Then it'll have to go through the court process. Like I said, if it's a repeat offender, we'll still use the ERT guys, the environmental response team, to go and abate the property, and as well as the citation process, both.
Yeah, I was just looking to hear it again.
Yeah. Commissioner Paula, thanks for having him repeat that, and your point was a good one. This isn't a newly developed policy we've had this. We're just, our building safety or our code enforcement are just going a little further with the notifying of the property owner and so forth. So have you coordinated with the municipal court on that?
Oh,
to
yeah.
let them know that?
Yes,
Okay.
they're ready.
Yeah, okay.
And it's already started. We've got some of them writing citations. It's just that they haven't done the citation process, a lot of them. Now that they're going to be writing citations, several of them per day.
Okay. All right, thank you for that. Any questions?
I do have a question. What about rental properties that the owners of the property do not live in Clovis?
They'll still get a citation.
Any other questions or comments? Very good. Anything else for us, Mr. Roach?
That's all I got.
All right, appreciate it.
All right, thank you.
Anyone else from the public or here this evening that has something to share during this section? Public comment? Okay, I'll take the opportunity to mention, while we're in public comment, just by way of promoting it, the Wings Over Cannon Air Show is this Saturday, and the wing commander, Colonel Taylor, has invited the community out, and so I hope that everyone will go out. It's a great opportunity to visit Cannon Air Force Base and get close to the airmen and the static displays, as well as see the air show. And so it'll be a great community event. At 9 a.m. Is when it begins on Saturday. Also wanted to mention that on Saturday, this is just so cool, and some of you in the room may have been involved, but at Lincoln Jackson School, back in 1995, if I'm skimming this, but I think it was in 95, or it was in the 90s, that they did a time capsule, and they're actually going to open that time capsule on Saturday morning at 10 o'clock over at Lincoln Jackson. So that's kind of exciting, and just wanted to make mention of that. Anything else while we're in public comment? Very well. We will move on to the consent agenda. Mayor Pro Tem and Commissioners, you know that we have the consent agenda for those routine agenda items that you may wish to approve or acknowledge with one motion. Looks like we have a total of 7 there. I'll read 2 through 6. Item 2 is request for approval of budget transfer to install street lighting along Townsgate Plaza. Item 3, request for approval of scope and fee with Moles and Corbin for bidding and construction phase services for the Martin Luther King Roadway Improvement Project. Item 4, request for approval to waive, that's got to be dumping fees.
Mayor, they're technically called tipping fees.
Tipping fees,
Yes,
okay.
sir.
Great, thank you for that. Item 4, request for approval to waive tipping fees at the Clovis Regional Landfill for Clovis Curry County residents from noon Friday, May 5th to noon Monday, May 8th, 2023 for the Great American Cleanup. Request includes that tipping of tires be allowed by residential customers only, but limited to 9 passenger vehicle tires per household. Item 5, request for approval of CDM Smith Task Order 20-13 for air quality testing and reporting. Item 6, request for approval of CDM Smith Task Order 20-12 for the 2023-2024 landfill groundwater monitoring and reporting. Those are the items for your consideration. I would entertain a motion to place the indicated items on the consent agenda by unanimous vote.
So moved.
Motion to place from Commissioner Jones. The second came from Commissioner Porter. Commissioners, please vote. Commissioner Garza, your vote, please.
That's a yes.
Okay, thank you. The vote is unanimous, and the items have been placed on the consent agenda. I would now entertain a motion to approve or acknowledge all of the items.
So moved.
Motion from Commissioner
Second.
Jones, second from Commissioner Porter. Commissioners, please vote. Commissioner Garza, your vote, please.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. The vote is unanimous. The motion is carried. Thank you. Now, everyone knows along with me that what the word tipping means when we're talking about a landfill. So thank you. All right. Nothing to deal with under the next two sections. So we're on to new business where we have 3 items this evening. The first is a request for approval of transfer of location of dispenser liquor license for BG Gas and Convenience Retail LLC to be located at 2021 West 21st Street. To advise, Mr. Morris.
Thank you, Mayor. So BG Gas and Convenience Retail LLC operates Allsup's and Yesway, as we know. They recently closed a location in Vaughn, and so they're seeking to move that dispenser liquor license to a location here, 2121 West 21st in Clovis. We received on March 10th approval from RLD. We therefore published twice in a newspaper of general circulation on March 22nd and March 29. And we are within the 45-day window. And I don't know if I'm breaking up, but I'm pushing this as hard as I possibly can, so keep on and off. There we go. So, Mayor, we're primed for a public hearing. If I could pass it back to you, we could open it up for a public hearing on the item of the liquor license, and then once we close the public hearing, we can approve the item if necessary.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you for that, Mr. Morris. So we need to have a public hearing. Is there a motion to enter public hearing?
So moved.
Motion to enter the public hearing from Commissioner Paula.
Second.
Second from Mayor Pro Tem Bryant. Commissioners, please vote. Commissioner Garza, your vote, please.
That's a yes, thank you.
Okay. So we have unanimous vote, and we have entered the public hearing related to this liquor license transfer of location. Is there anyone that wishes to provide testimony related to this?
Mr. Mayor, my name is Gary Gaston. I'm with BW Gas and Convenience, and I'm here to answer any questions you might have.
Okay, appreciate that, sir. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see if we have questions. Anyone that would like to provide testimony? Hearing and seeing none, can I have a motion to exit the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
Motion to exit the public hearing from Commissioner Paula. Second came from Commissioner Jones. Commissioners, please vote. Commissioner Garza, your vote, please.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, sir. The vote is unanimous, and the motion is carried. We have exited the public hearing, so we are back to the consideration of approval on this item. Is there further debate, or is there a motion?
Make a motion to approve.
Okay.
Second.
Motion for approval from Mayor Pro Tem Bryant, second from Commissioner Jones. It's been properly moved and seconded that you would approve the transfer of a location for a dispenser liquor license for BG Gas and Convenience Retail LLC to be located at 2021 West 21st. Commissioners, please vote. Commissioner Garza, your vote, please.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, sir. And the motion, or the vote is unanimous. The motion is carried, and the approval has been given. Thank you. Next, item 2 under new business is request for approval to appoint 4 citizen members to serve on the Civil Aviation Board. And to give a explanation on this process, Ms. Burrows.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem and Commissioners. Mr. T.J. Curtis, Jamie Martinez, Stephen Verdeel, and Lonnie Leslie's terms on the Civil Aviation Board have expired, and the positions that were advertised. And Mr. Martinez, Mr. Verdeel, and Mr. Leslie have reapplied to serve another term. Mr. Curtis decided to step down from the board. Ms. Rachel Holler, Mr. John Book, and Mr. Alejandro Mora have also applied to serve, and an election will therefore be needed. I believe Mr. John Book is online, as is Mr. Leslie. Rachel Holler couldn't be here this evening and sends her apologies, but she would like to be considered. Mr. Martinez is here. I think Mr. Alejandro Mora has called in, and Mr. Stephen Verdeel is here.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Burrows. So, commissioners, it's always nice when we have interest in these vacancies, and so to have 6 applicants for 4 openings on the Civil Aviation Board is I guess a good problem to have, but it is a problem. You've got some great candidates that are interested in this. We'll give each of them the opportunity to share with us about their desire to serve, and we'll just take them in the order that they're in the packet. And so first would be Mr. Jamie Martinez, who's currently serving on the Civil Aviation Board. I serve there and enjoy serving with Mr. Martinez, certainly. Mr. Martinez, we'll give you the floor.
Mr. Mayor, thank you. Mr. Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, Commissioners, first of all, thank you for a minute on tonight's agenda to speak about my wanting to serve a second 3-year term on the Civil Aviation Board for the City of Clovis. As listed on the agenda, my name is Jamie Martinez. I'm a 20-year military retiree, U.S. Army Aviation the entire time. Retired in 2006, moved my family to Clovis, have been here about 17 years, involved in aviation. Many of the aviation aspects that Clovis has grown through over the last 17 years, and hope to continue to do that. Listed some of the education qualifications that I have over the last 30 years in aviation on my application. If you have seen that application, hope you could take a look at those and consider me for a second term. I appreciate it. Thank you for your time.
Just a moment, and Mr. Martinez, in case there are questions for you, I just wanted to have you pause. Any questions for Mr. Martinez?
No, thanks for.
Thank you, appreciate you, sir.
Thank you all.
Yeah. Next in the packet, we have the application from Mr. Lonnie Leslie, who, as I believe, joined us virtually this evening. Mr. Leslie currently serves as the vice chairman on the committee, and has actually been performing in that role for the last several Civil Aviation Board meetings. And I see him on the screen there. So, Mr. Leslie, we'll give you the floor so you can share with us about your desire to serve.
Mr. Mayor, the commission, thank you for letting me be here. I have really enjoyed my term on the aviation board. My wife and I are active users of Denver Air Connection, and I have a private pilot's license. I do not have an airplane at the current time. 5 heart attacks, and no money has discouraged us from having an airplane. But I'm very interested in aviation. I also have a background in building and writing grants This, we've had this 3-year period. We've accomplished some great things at the airport with the help of the commission, the FAA. We built the fence, worked on the runway, improved the lighting, built equipment storage buildings, got a John Deere tractor. So a lot of good things are going on at the airport, and we're currently starting the process of building a new terminal, and I would like to be a part of that. So thank you for giving me that opportunity, and I would hope that I would have another.
Thank you, Mr. Leslie, again for your interest and for joining the meeting this evening. We'll check and see if there are any questions for you. Any questions, Mayor Pro Tem or Commissioners? No questions. Thank you, Mr. Leslie. Appreciate that very much. Next in order, as they are in the packet, is Mr. Stephen Verdell. Mr. Verdell is here in person this evening. He's currently serving on the Civil Aviation Board. Certainly enjoy his participation there, and welcome this evening. We'll give you the floor, sir.
Thank you. Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, Commissioners. In the last 3 years, as serving on the board, I've seen a lot of improvements come through at the airport. I won't repeat Mr. Leslie's list, but there were significant improvements. And now, I think the biggest improvement of all is going to be the new terminal. We're well into the design phase of it. And I've enjoyed working with Mr. Howalt and his team, my fellow board commissioners, the city engineers and architects, to craft a vision going forward for what we want the terminal to look like and accomplish. And I think once it becomes reality, it'll unlock endless economic opportunities, not just for the airport, but for the city as a whole. And it's been my pleasure to work with Mr. Howalt and my fellow commissioners to kind of craft that vision and hopefully to see it through to fruition. So that being the case, I would ask for your consideration for an additional term on the board. Thank you for your time.
Appreciate that, sir. Any questions for Mr. Verdell? Appreciate your interest in serving. Thank you. Next in the packet, we have Ms. Rachel Holler. Ms. Burrows, did you say she's on, or?
She couldn't attend this evening, Mayor, and she sent her apologies, but said she would very much like to serve.
Understood. Well, thank you for that. And she certainly is, based on her application, a very strong candidate, and commissioners, no doubt, will give her consideration. Next, Mr. Alejandro Mora, and he has been able to join. Yes, there's Mr. Mora. Thank you so much for your interest in serving on the Civil Aviation Board. We have your application before us here, and would give you the floor to share with us about that desire on your part to serve.
Thank you, sir. Well, good evening, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Pro Tem, and Commissioners. My name is Alejandro Mora. I go by Alex. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak to you about my interest in joining the Civil Aviation Board. For background, I'm 35 years old. I originally hail from Miami, Florida, with Colombian roots. I am currently an Air Force pilot and have 17 years of active duty. On the civilian side, I am 8 weeks away from earning a master's in aviation safety and hold an FAA commercial, single, and multi-engine certificates with instrument privileges. I am an aircraft owner and currently house my airplane at the Clovis Regional Airport. So I'd like to think that I have skin in the game for making sure that the airport stays relevant and that it sees improvement. What is most important, however, is that I am married. We have 2 children, Camila and Nicholas, and I would like to see them grow up in this great up-and-coming city. Our airport serves our community as part of its critical infrastructure and as a means for our residents to travel for business or pleasure. So it is imperative that we continue to seek improvements just like it has been in the past few years, thanks to the city's outstanding leadership. Thanks everyone, and standing by for comments or questions.
Thank you for that, Mr. Mora, and thank you for your service. And it's a honor that that you would wish to serve in this capacity and help us out with the airport here at the city level. So thank you for that. Any questions for Mr. Mora? Doesn't look like we have any questions. Thank you, sir. Appreciate your interest in serving.
Thank you, sir.
And then lastly in the packet, we have Mr. John Book. And Mr. Book has joined us virtually this evening. Is that right?
Yes, I have the audio.
Yes, Mr. Book, we can hear you. Thank you so much for your interest in serving on civil aviation. We have your application before us, and we'll give you the floor so that you can share with us about your desire to serve.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Pro Tem, and like I said, my name is Don Cook. I'm 22-year airport veteran. I was mechanical on F1 at new bases, and at Mountain Home, I got my private pilot at Mountain Home Municipal up there. I retired from the Air Force in 1996, and I did 24 years in NSF as a conductor, switchman, and locomotive. I've had application, but had experience in other transportation. I've been on our board a number of years here at the airport in New Terminal. I was on the board with Todd built in North in 1995. Let's see, my wife's name is Kurt. We've got 3 daughters of our own, 5 grandchildren and captain. I retired from PNS about a year and a half ago. My daughter actually had a position open, so she forwarded it to me. And because I still love her, I would really like to.
Well, Mr. Book, thank you for your interest in serving and for joining this evening to tell us about that. And are there any questions for Mr. Book? Doesn't appear that we have any questions, so please stand by as we navigate the voting process on this. Commissioners, Mayor Pro Tem, are there any questions, or does there need to be any discussion on this, or are you ready to vote? I think we're ready to vote. How are we getting? Okay, so Commissioner Garza has submitted his vote. You're voting for 4. Commissioners, as a reminder, you are voting for 4. It'll just be a moment while Mr. Howalt and Ms. Burrows count the votes. But while they do, I'll just take the opportunity to thank each of you for your interest in serving. Thank you to the 6 applicants for your interest in serving. And given that we can't choose all 6 of you, those of you that aren't chosen, please continue to look for places to serve. The city has 14 boards and committees, and so there's a lot of opportunity to serve, and if you're willing to do so, we need you. So please keep looking for places to serve.
Mayor Pro Tem and Commissioners, Mr. Lonnie Leslie, Mr. Jamie Martinez, Mr. Alejandro Mora, and Stephen Verdil have been nominated to serve. Thank you.
Wonderful. Well, congratulations, gentlemen, and we appreciate each of you for your interest once again, and thank you for applying, and again, congratulations to those of you that were chosen.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Very good. Last item under new business this evening is item 3. It's a request for approval of memorandum of understanding between the City of Clovis and Dr. David Hudson for spay and neuter program for the Clovis Animal Shelter And I see Dr. David Hudson has joined us here this evening. We're glad to have you here. Chief Rice, will you be providing some direction, or you're going to yield to Dr. Hudson? All right, Dr. Hudson, thanks for being here. Good to see you, sir.
Sure. Good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and Commissioners. My name is David Hudson, and I stand before you again just to kind of reiterate what we're planning on doing, and kind of with the spay neuter program for the city of Clovis. We've kind of, I guess I've modified the protocol a little bit. A couple months ago when I was here, we talked about an individual would adopt a pet at the animal shelter, pay the adoption fee. We'd leave the pet at the animal shelter until basically I was ready to do the surgery, and then the animal shelter would bring the pet to the Humane Society where we were performing the procedure. I felt like that probably wasn't the best protocol, and so what I'm proposing we do, and I think it'll work out really well. That's kind of what we did in the past when all the other veterinarians were in the program, is that the pet owner goes and adopts a pet, pays the adoption fee at that time, then within a period of time, 48 hours, maybe 72 hours, I will or one of my assistants will contact that pet owner. In other words, they'll take their pet home with them after they pay the fee. So we'll contact the pet owner. We'll set up a time where they'll bring the pet to me at the Humane Society. I'll examine the pet. Then we'll schedule the surgery to be performed at either that time or probably a later date. The reason why I think that works out better is that animal shelter doesn't have to keep the pet now for a period of days until it's convenient or feasible for me to spay or neuter the pet. I can examine the pet and make sure the pet's healthy enough and age appropriate to be spayed or neutered, and then make that appointment, and I get a chance to communicate with the new pet owner, answer any questions or concerns they might have, and then like I said, if the pet may not be optimal for having that surgery done, we can schedule that at a later time. Age can be a factor, health of the pet can be a factor, those kinds of things. I would make sure that the new pet owner is compliant with that. I think they will be, because they've already paid their fee. That's kind of the way we did it. Well, not kind of, that is the way we did it for several years when we had the program implemented. We had really good compliance. Occasionally we might have somebody that would have to change an appointment, but we had really good compliance with that. So I think we'll be in pretty good shape. And then I won't bill the city for any of those services until I've done them. Let's say if somebody adopts an 8-week-old puppy and I don't spay or neuter that dog for 2 months because of age, I won't bill the city until I'm completed with that. And so that's basically where we are. I will tell you that I've done some procedures for the Humane Society at their facility. We started last week. We've done about 5. It's worked out pretty well. We're ironing out the bugs. Our big problem is, and I mentioned this at the previous meeting, excuse me, I mentioned this at the previous meeting, and that is that we've ordered equipment. We're still waiting on a surgery table, an exam table, and some cages. Shipment date is May 21st. So I've done some surgery on a veterinary table, but it's not really a great surgery table. So we're still kind of waiting on that kind of stuff. But hopefully it's coming. So that's kind of where we are. We're still waiting a little bit on that, though. So it's kind of where we are.
Thanks for that, Dr. Hudson. And Chief Rice, would you add anything to what he's had to say?
The only thing to clarify is that the adoption fee will be $215 or $115, because with this of $190 and $90 for the dogs and cats, and I'm playing button a lot. Thank you.
Deputy Chief's got
We'll get
you
this
there.
going. He always
Yeah.
has my back. So the $25 administration fee is what takes care of our taxes and our portion of the money. So they do still pay the money up front, and like I said, there just be up to the adoptee to take the animals to him whenever they're ready to take them to him, or as he says, up their appointment. Of course, this has been a long deal. We started this back in January, working on this and trying to get everything to work out good. But it's been a combined effort between Mr. Holwalt, Claire, and myself, High Plains, and Best Friends, and of course, Dr. Hudson. So.
Yes, sir, Chief. Well, thank you for all the collaboration and, effort going into solving this tough problem. And Dr. Hudson, I know you've been, you've been working on it and a great team player in this for many, many years now. So thank you for your continued involvement.
Well, you're welcome. And it'll work. It's just, we need to get that equipment in, and then I can work with the animal shelter on how I'm going to communicate with them and the new pet owners and that type of thing. It'll be pretty seamless, I think. So it'll work out well.
Very good. Well, thank you so much for that.
Sure.
Mayor Pro Tem, Commissioners, what questions do you have about this?
I don't have any questions. I just want to thank Dr. Hudson. I think this has been a long time coming. We've needed this for a long time, and I appreciate you, coming and making this available.
You're welcome.
Other questions?
Dr. Hudson, first off, I want to say thank you for doing this, and we very much appreciate what you're doing. And I guess I do have a question. All this is fairly new to me, but this opens the door for people not to schedule. If they get to take their animals home, I understand the monetary investment, but months go by, I would suspect that they would be much more likely not to return the animals to get the procedures done.
Yeah, and that's a good question. I think the fact that they've paid their fee, so they paid their fee, and because we had this program implemented for many years, we had really good compliance. We may have had 3 or 4, maybe 5 individuals that for whatever reason weren't compliant. A couple of the reasons were, or excuses were, my pet ran away, I gave him away, those kinds of things. So they're in breach of that contract they sign with the animal shelter. What we would do is we would make every attempt to get them in, and if we couldn't, and like in those situations, we would just contact. I think it was Leanne Melanson, I think, handled that for us. It may have been Marty at the animal shelter, but I can't remember. But we turned those over, and so it was a very, very small percentage. And I don't think it's going to be months. I don't think it's going to be months. But an 8-week-old puppy that's coming from the animal shelter, depending upon the breed of dog, could be a 5-pound dog. A 5-pound puppy, and so that puppy's stressed, may be exposed to something in the animal shelter or before it went into the animal shelter. And so what I would do in that situation, I would examine the puppy. It's not old enough for a rabies shot, but I would scan the puppy, make sure it has the microchip. Talk to them about the puppy will already have been vaccinated for distemper and parvovirus at the animal shelter. I would talk to that pet owner about getting them into a veterinarian. We could recommend veterinarians so they could have follow-up vaccinations, things like that. So we would stay kind of in communication with them. We could put a protocol in where we call them on a periodic basis, or text them or email or whatever on a periodic basis and say, hey, how's your puppy doing? And we're scheduled for surgery at this date, and so on and so forth. So I think, and that may seem like a lot of effort, but it's really in the best interest of the patient. It's really in my best interest, so I'm not putting undue risk and things like that. And so I think it'll work. I understand it seems like an awful long time. I would think where they might complain would be, hey, I spent this much money, and it's gonna be this long before I get them taken care of. But I think if we communicate and let them know that it's in the puppy's best interest, that we do it that way. So I think it'll work. I really do.
I appreciate that. That helps me a lot.
Sure.
Thank you.
Other questions?
I don't have any questions. I'll make a motion that we approve.
Okay.
Second.
Motion for approval on this item from Commissioner Jones and a second from Commissioner Paula. Any further discussion or debate? Hearing and seeing none, it's been properly moved and seconded that you would approve the memorandum of understanding between the City of Clovis and Dr. David Hudson for the spay and neuter program for the Clovis Animal Shelter. Commissioners, please vote. This, Commissioner Garza? Oh, yeah, it hadn't been reset yet.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Was that the vote, or was that an old one? You guys all voted on that one? Okay, all right, thanks. The vote is unanimous, 6 in favor, none opposed. The motion is carried. Dr. Hudson, thank you so much. Again, thank you, Mr. Howalt, Chief Rice, everyone that has contributed to putting that together. The motion is carried. We'll move on to reports of boards, officers, and committees. The first is the monthly investment report, and Mr. Howalt is going to stand in for Ms. Melanson on that report this month. Mr. Howalt?
Thank you, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem and Commissioners. And Ms. Melanson did provide me with a very detailed and highlighted order of how I go about this.
Thankfully.
Thank goodness. So for the ending March 31st, 2023, the beginning cash and investments was at $66.9 million. Our ending cash and investments was at $72.9 million. General Fund, Fund 1, had an ending cash investments of $11 million. Fund 2, $3.4 million. The environmental tax, Fund 6, was $9.2 million. Wastewater Fund, $2.7 million. The Economic Development GRT, Fund 64, is at $4.8 million. Our Water Quarter Percent GRT, Fund 66, is at $6.2 million. Our Drainage Improvement Fund, Fund 88, is at $2.1 million. Our American Rescue Plan funds, Fund 94, is at $9.5 million, and those will obviously start getting expended as soon as the Martin Luther King project is bid and the contractors get to work. Fund 1 actually has an additional $5 million in it, so that balance will be reduced to go back down to Fund 87, which is our fund that we're funding 7th Street out of, so that'll have to be a transfer future. Cash in bank, the City of Clovis currently has $47.5 million cash in bank, and we have $25.3 million in the state investment pool. We're actually looking to put more of those funds from the cash in bank into the state investment pool so that we can earn more interest in there. For the month, we earned almost $98,000 in interest. 9 months interest earned is at $603,000. In February, the investment pool was paying 4.4%, and for March, it paid 4.55%. With that, I'm happy to answer any gross receipts tax we just received in today as well. And so for on the year months completed, we are 8.5% above last year, and compared to what we budgeted for this many months in, we were actually 30.79% above budget in gross receipts tax.
Great news, great report, and great news about the finances, both in the interest being earned in the state pool, but certainly in the GRT report. And given that it's budget season, you've got a lot to think about and a lot to work with, right?
We are working through budgets, definitely. Going to help where we can.
Very good. Well, thank you, Mr. Howalt. Do we have a water policy Advisory Committee report, Mayor Pro Tem.
We do, Mayor, thank you. With April being Water Conservation Month, we had a little longer meeting than normal. We did have presentations and updates from our Orlando Ortega with Eastern New Mexico Water Utility Authority. Mayor Moore spoke about the importance of playas and presented a video from Playa Lake Joint Ventures. And we also had a presentation from Dr. LaDonna Clayton regarding the Ogallala Land and Water Conservancy, in which the city has helped with the funding, and also had updates from Mark Huerta with EPCOR, and well as the city with Mr. Owalt. Next meeting is scheduled for July the 10th.
Thank you for that. As he mentioned, I was at that meeting, and at the end of the meeting, I complimented him on doing such a great job, such a lineup, the programming that he had at that meeting. You know, he got, you know, a report from the city manager stating that there was over $12 million 12 million gallons, not dollars. I want to talk about money, I guess, but the reuse system delivered over 12 million gallons in the month of March. And that's 12 million gallons that doesn't come out of the ground and out of the aquifer. And so, you know, great job to the city on the reuse system. He got an update on the Ute Pipeline project. There's, you know, the linchpin in our water sustainability plans, the conveyance system that's going to bring that surface water from Ute Reservoir. And then also the report from Dr. LaDonna Clayton from Ogallala Land and Water Conservancy, which is a trust that we as a commission have supported, and they are getting great results in the water conservation that's being done out by Cannon Air Force Base in the Paleo Channel. And so it was just a great meeting, Mayor Pro Tem, and I just want to congratulate and applaud all of you on your leadership for, you know, supporting and doing all of these things to ensure our water sustainability into the future as water supply becomes more and more of a problem around the state and the region. Clovis, New Mexico is doing the work and doing the planning to rise and meet that challenge. So good job.
Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate that. And you're right. It's all about conservation, and we all need to continue our efforts in conserving water and making sure that we continue to have a sustainable water supply.
Thanks, Mayor Pro Tem. Planning and Zoning Commission met on April 12th. Commissioner Garza, would you like to report on that, or are you yielding to someone in the room? Commissioner Garza may have left us. Ms. Burrows?
Yes, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem and Commissioners. There was a discussion and recommendation regarding preliminary plats of Lot 1 through 11 of the Newman Lake subdivision. There was a discussion recommendation regarding replat of the Texas Roadhouse addition, and a discussion recommendation regarding a text amendment to section 1532-130 provisions for flood hazard reduction. These will all be coming to you at the next commission meeting. They were all recommended for approval. And then, of course, as you probably know, Mr. Chancho has left the city of Clovis.
Well, sorry to hear that, but thanks for that update, and looking forward to those items coming to the commission at the next meeting. On April 13th, the Civil Aviation Board met in special meeting with one purpose, and that was reviewing the airport terminal design that has been prepared. That involved a handful of meetings where multiple options were presented. The Civil Aviation Board made recommendations, asked questions, and then in this special meeting, which took place last week, they really came back with the design that included all of the feedback and input that they had received, and that plan was recommended and will be coming to you, I believe, at the next City Commission meeting. Parks and Recreation Beautification Committee met on Monday, April 17th. Commissioner Paula, do you have a report on that?
Actually, I don't, Mayor. I was at a banquet that evening.
Oh,
and
good
my
for you.
co-chair is not here this evening, so I'm hoping Commissioner Jones or Commissioner Porter could help me out.
I bet they can.
So I don't have my notes with me because I did not realize that. Many of the things we had that evening will come to us at our next commission meeting. We had a great update on the Parks and Rec as well as the zoo. The murals have started, so if you haven't been out to the zoo yet lately, they have started on the new murals, and they're looking good. So I'd ask you to get out there and take a look. But Justin has anything, that'd be great.
Thanks, Commissioner.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem and Commissioners, and I was at the banquet as well. However, I'm lucky enough to have the agenda in front of me, so I do recall some of the conversation that has been relayed to me. So they passed a MOU for the zoo, in which actually if there is an emergency or a disaster at a zoo, it allows our employees to go help that zoo. If we have something go wrong at our zoo, other zoos that participate in this program can come to our zoo and help us. And so that MOU was approved and will be coming for you guys for consideration also. The group also decided not to move forward with the land, water, and conservation funding. This was funding that we had reached out for to make improvements to the Goodwin Lake trails. However, once we started to work with the program manager, they brought it to our attention that our parks would go in perpetuity under an easement with them. And so wanting to us be able to control how we utilize the property itself, we figured it was best not to enter into the agreement with them and receive that funding. And so we do have other funds that are available to us from the sale of the property to Popeyes that we had set aside for improvements at Goodwin Trails. So looking to move forward to make those improvements with those funds versus utilizing the funds from the land water conservation funding. There's also some discussion regarding Mr. Hooper on the remaining capital outlay funds that we had received for the parks. And so I believe the recommendation was to finish up at Ryerson Park, removing the fence line that's old and deteriorated out at that location, and going with basically the rock boulders to replace that fence line with. Of course, boulders don't take any maintenance. They've been rocks for a really long time. And so it's just, from an overall maintenance standpoint, it's better for us. So, and then they heard updates once again from Mr. Lechner and as well as from Mr. Hooper. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Appreciate that, and appreciate everything that's going on with Parks and Rec. Finance Committee met yesterday. There were no action items, and it was, well, I was going to say largely. It was exactly the report that we just heard from Mr. Howalt. So nothing much else to report there. Eastern New Mexico Water Utility Authority, I like that made it on here. Actually, yesterday, there were a couple of committee meetings, but not a board meeting to report on. But instead of reporting on all of that, I have something kind of fun I want to share with you briefly. I hope you don't mind me adding to the meeting here, but this is fun, and I wanted to share it. So what I want to share with you is an article from Sunday, January 6th, 1963. An article in the Amarillo Sunday News, January 6th, 1963. The headline was, Ute Dam Construction Holds Schedule, $5 million job cites May deadline. It reads, and I'll just give you bits and pieces of it, but Logan, New Mexico, January 5th. Despite such problems as rattlesnakes, the finding of archaeological relics, and the disturbance of 2 lonely graves, the $5 million Ute Dam project is going ahead on schedule. Since the beginning of the project 4 months ago, construction is 40% complete. And only 2 days have been lost to bad weather. Conceived, developed, and financed solely by the state, the project has created employment for some 250 men, 95% of which were New Mexicans. The influx of workmen has substantially boosted the population in the small village about 25 miles northeast of Tucumcari. Talking about Logan, no doubt. Northeast of Tucumcari, near the confluence of the Canadian River and the Ute Creek. Not only is Ute Dam unusual in its financing, it is also the first project in the United States where the safety engineer had been allowed to bid on safety equipment, ambulance service, and other related safety features. Harley D. Brown, a native from Oregon, was awarded the safety engineer's contract, but his problems may not have always been the usual ones. Workmen have been faced with problems of snakes in boots, I think they were just being fun. That's in quotations, snakes in boots. I hope they weren't actually in boots, but safety, or says the safety engineer, at least 150 rattlesnakes have been killed on the site. Our primary weapon has been a big stick. Several times the snakes have made their homes beneath Brown's house trailer. So I guess he was living in a house trailer out at the job site. But despite the problem, only 5 lost time injuries had occurred, and only 1 was because of snake bites. Before the arrival of the May 1st completion, more than 1 million cubic yards of earth will have been excavated, another million being added and put in place. The dam will be 5,750 feet in length, including the spillway. At its thickest point will be 715 feet wide. The capacity of the reservoir is scheduled to be 100,000 acre feet. It's actually 108,000 acre feet, was what the original capacity was before the dam was raised many years after this. The construction schedule has been maintained by heating water used in pouring of concrete. So this was written in January, so it was cold. So they were heating the water to 100 degrees in the concrete process. It's fascinating what they went through. During the first part of the excavation period, special attention was given to a cave located on the south side of the riverbed. On the interior of the sandstone cave was the name M.N. Chavez and the date 1891. Archaeologists from the State Museum in Santa Fe proved the cave had a longer history than 1891. They uncovered bones, arrowheads, all kinds of other ancient items. Survey teams from the museum were spending time there evaluating their finds before the dam was completed. In addition to the snakes, there were the 2 graves that they paid special attention to, and this is kind of interesting. In addition to the snakes and caves, workmen have had to cope with with legends, it says. According to old timers, somewhere in the area of the dam are the graves of 2 cowboys who, according to local history, made the mistake of mistreating some of the native New Mexicans. The old timers said they came to a sorry end because of their deeds and were buried in the general area. During excavation, much care was given, and these graves were relocated. We're about to wrap up here. This is interesting. Enabling legislation for the project was introduced into the New Mexico House in 1957 by U.S. Congressman Tom Morris, who was then a member of the state legislature. In 1959, State Rep Morris Dickinson upped the original bill from $2 million to $5 million, and its passage was assisted by Governor Jack Campbell, who at the time was Speaker of the New Mexico House. Ute Dam is an offspring of the Canadian River Compact signed in 1950 by New Mexico, Texas, and Oklahoma. For some time, officials wanted a dam between the Texas border and the Conchas Dam to protect the state's interests, and because the Canadian River Dam was now under construction in Sanford, Texas, which of course is the Lake Meredith Reservoir. But just thought that was interesting. An article from 1963 talking about the completion of the dam nearing completion, that we now, 60 years later, can see the end in sight on this project, in that assuming funding, we will complete the water conveyance system, surface water conveyance system called the Ute Pipeline, and add that to our water portfolio in Clovis, Cannon Air Force Base, Portales, Texaco, and Elida. Future agenda items. I think you mentioned several by way of giving the reports from committees, but are there future agenda items to mention?
And Mayor Pro Tem and Commissioners, before we get to that, just real quickly, I just wanted the sound quality. We are actually having success with what we are doing. And so we're not having the feedback into the speakers. The quality over television as well as the quality over Facebook has been much better. And so we are looking for another option other than holding the button down for all of us. But just wanted to give a quick report and say it is working. And so while it may be a little bit difficult right now, please bear with us as we find a permanent solution. But just wanted to say that it has solved some of our issues that we've had with the sound in the past. Thank you.
Okay, thanks for that. Thanks for the continued effort. Future agenda items?
Yes, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem and Commissioners. Assistant Building Official will be before you at the next meeting. The waiver of fees for a community water carnival, which was discussed by Mark Huerta at the last meeting, will be coming before you. Clovis Founders Day, colouring contest winners will be coming. EPCOR annual resolution, Motorcycle Awareness Month proclamation, nonagenarian tea, Teachers Appreciation Week, the various planning and zoning items that I mentioned earlier, and the MOU that Justin said, and that airport terminal design as well. That's all I have so far. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Burrows. I'm very much looking forward to the nonagenarian events this year. Announcement of date, time, and place of board and city commission meetings. The Clovis Carver Library Board will meet at 5:30 p.m. on Monday, April 24th, here in the North Annex. The Public Works Committee will meet at 8:30 a.m. on Wednesday, April 26th, here in the North Annex. And the next city commission meeting will be at 5:15 p.m. on Thursday, May 4th, which is also National Day of Prayer. Don't forget that. And with that, we are adjourned.